Welcome to the Inspiring Leadership Podcast, where we seek to elevate your leadership and transform your workplace. My name is Dominic Seow. I'm delighted to be the host of this show. With my team at eqstrategist, we seek to bring you a dose of healthy inspiration and practical insights into how to enhance team performance, cultivate resilience, foster collaboration, and shape culture. They say that leaders are influencers, and to be an influencer, you need to first have a voice and let it shine. In today's podcast with the amazing Ratna Juwita, you will learn from this queen of LinkedIn, the queen of personal branding and the wellness strategies, and someone I consider a very dear friend, about an inspiring journey of transformation from someone who used to think of herself as someone who lacked belief, and yet who continuously, through stepping out of the comfort zone, intentionally and with a purpose to serve, today is a beacon of hope and inspiration to so many, helping them find their voice and to let that change the world and make it an even better place. I know you take a lot of wisdom and inspiration from listening to the amazing Ratna Juwita. Amazing Ratna, thank you for making time again.
Thank you so much, Dom. It's such a privilege to be here with you.
Oh my goodness, to be in the presence of a LinkedIn queen, LinkedIn top voice, personal branding strategist, wellness guru. Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much.
Ratna, we've known each other for such a long time now.
Yeah. Since
you know how long?
I can't remember. 2015?
2015.
Is that right?
I don't know. I just knew that you were still in diapers running around. And just to see the amazing human being who was always putting other people on the spotlight, helping them shine, which you still do today. And just in the last few years, see you blossom and shine like the person that we always could see in you. It's such an absolute honor.
Thank you so much, Dom. I think I am blessed to have a mentor like you. I mean, you have been my strong role model as I grow up, exploring my early careers then. And I think your presence, your being is just so inspiring. And I think because of that, it leads me to do what I'm doing right now. So I'm forever grateful for your amazing guidance and support. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Really.
So humble and grateful just to be considered as one of the people who journey with you, knowing that you've had a lot of mentors and you have been a mentor and continue to mentor so many thousands and thousands now. I see that on LinkedIn you have like a gazillion fans.
Thank you.
Every time you post out there, and the likes and the comments and the engagement is absolutely out of this world. But to be honest with you, when we started together, if you had asked me, hey, 10 years from now, 20 years, when Ratna is out of her diapers, what would she be doing? Maybe personal branding queen, LinkedIn top voice may not have naturally come to mind.
Very sure.
Not because of potential or anything. Certainly you were always very passionate about helping people develop their charisma, their public speaking skills. I still remember being in awe at the girl that I felt sometimes said that she was very shy, always very warm, and yet doing Toastmasters. When I first met you, you were already doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy smoke, this girl, boy, she's gonna go someplace. And today you're helping people shine, bring out the very best in themselves and all that kind of stuff. But before we go into that part of the journey, which I know that our audience will so benefit from and be inspired by, maybe you can share with us a little bit about your backstory. Yeah.
Sure. So maybe just a bit of context for those of you who don't really know me. I'm Indonesian, so when I first came to Singapore, it was really quite challenging. To begin with, I only have a very limited English, but I have a very big dream to have a better future in Singapore, right?
How long ago was that when you arrived in Singapore from Indonesia?
2006.
2006, okay.
Yeah.
So about 19 years ago.
Yes.
Right, okay.
And I think, but maybe even before coming to Singapore, right, I had this, fear of public speaking when I was very young, right? Okay. It was developed when I was during my primary school. I had to recite poetry
Okay.
during my final year English oral test and studied very hard. But when it comes to the actual day, like I was overwhelmed with fears and anxiety and I couldn't even say a word, right? And that incident was really painful to the extent that every time I had to, do speaking or do presentation, I would relive that moment again and again, and I just cannot present well, right? So growing up with that imposter syndrome and fear of public speaking and all that wasn't easy, right? And I thought by moving to Singapore, I can run away in some ways, but definitely not. It presented another kind of like challenges, from speaking English to communicating, expressing myself to even blending in with the new culture that is so different, right? Twice the space, twice the pace. And it was just like overwhelming to me, right? And I think out of this survival instinct in a way that I've got to survive in a new countries, in the new space as well. And I think that was where I started to develop, like the willingness to also learn something to help me survive in a new countries, right? Wow. So I started, like what you mentioned, taking up Toastmasters program to help me build up my confidence in public speaking, because my early years I had to do my very first job, right? I had to do a lot of presentation to market training programs, right?
Okay.
And that was like a nerve-wracking experience, right? And I think because of that, it helps me to develop my confidence. It also helps me to overcome my fears as well.
Okay.
And I think one thing that really helps me a lot apart from the Toastmasters training was really the practice of mindfulness, right? So the practice of meditation has literally helped me a lot in overcoming a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears and traumatic experience I had. And that's where it also created a space for me to be able to lean into the discomfort feelings I had and really making peace with it and coming into the space where I try to enlarge my comfort zones, right? And I think that has been such a powerful journey, I would say. From then on, that's where we actually met. I got to work together with you then. And I was also like, back then, I'm sure you kind of like also see how I was, expressing myself and all that. And it was tough, right? I was still like overcoming my own fears and my own imposter syndrome then as well. And after spending a couple of years in the training and education space and, consulting space as well, doing marketing, business development and account management, honestly, I don't know why am I going to that space, because up to now, I always question my career path, right? Wow. Is this something that I can do, I'm not sure whether you sense that, but I have never had a confidence of generating leads or even closing sales or whatever it is, right, Dom? I know you're smiling there. And it was like, it was so it was such an irony, right? And then after that, I take up my courage to actually started something on my own. That was like the scariest things I ever done. And it was really a very struggling experience for me, from working 9 to 5 to, I have to feed myself, right? And it was like, I think that experience was something that literally stretched me beyond my limits, that like when it comes to a survival instinct, right, I've got to make it happen, right? So I think from then on also I turned my limitation, whatever limiting beliefs I have about sales, about lead generations, into something that like, hey, I've got to do this, right? And that was so powerful to the extent that I just got whatever it takes to, like get leads and get clients for my business, right? That's
Absolutely.
how the entire journey started.
Wow.
I think that brought me the most growth,
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
And that's how it is.
Wow. I think people think about public speaking and they think about, wow, I need to go out there and I wish I could communicate like Tony Robbins, his eloquence, the words that he uses, the charisma and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yet, I think you remind us of the importance of who you are speaks so loud, I can hardly hear what you say. And
Yeah.
who you are, that courage that you have within, that journey you've been through, always supporting other people. But, I think you mentioned that initially it was done through survival. You had
Yes,
to
yeah.
cari makan, right? Come
Cari
to this
makan.
country.
It was literally cari
no
makan.
choice,
Yeah.
sink or swim.
Exactly.
And yet, I think you and I know there are no accidents in life. I
Yeah,
think this
yeah.
path has been charted for you in many ways.
Yeah.
I think anyone who sees you now and see you do what you do, I watch your LinkedIn post with awe at the authenticity of the message and how it moves and resonates with people, the vulnerability. And vulnerability is a strength. You and I
Yeah.
learn and
Yeah.
teach that. And yet, it takes courage to be vulnerable. And you have demonstrated that all throughout. You say, yes, initially it's about survival, have to. And yet, it's one thing to say survival, have to, and another thing to say it starts with me.
Yeah.
And for you to put up your hand to say, do Toastmasters. I mean, you and I know how many people have we encouraged to do that, and they say, I got no time, it's too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or can or not, right?
Yeah.
And yet, I think it's that always that willingness to take responsibility for your outcomes, to step forth. And today it seems like you just attract leads into your life all the time just by being you. Talk about the law of attraction, right?
Yeah, that was so powerful, right? And I was like, it was just like a completely shift of perspective about, what we used to do in terms of like, knocking on other people's doors, like, hey, would you like to have a training right now? It's completely a different kind of energy when I show up with who I am and what I
Yes.
stand for.
Yes.
And when people see that, they will gravitate to me instead of like, trying to chase after something. But
Yes.
how can we become that magnet to be able to attract limitless possibilities, right? And I thought that was really a very powerful journey for me that I went through. That literally opened so many doors of opportunities that I've never thought possible, like
Right.
being able to work with some of the global companies that I can only imagine, right? And nowadays, 90% of my business literally comes from LinkedIn, right? Which is like, it's like a mind-blowing to me. Like I've never even
Amazing.
used, social media into that kind of extent, but that was shifted so many perspectives to see that there is so much power in leveraging social media for good, for impact, and to be able to also, utilize that to make a positive influence
Yes.
in your life and in other
Yes.
people's life too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know in that journey, you speak of the fake imposter, and that's such a real thing. It was very real for me when
Yeah.
I first left the engineering world to do this.
Yeah.
And yet, so we have those inner voices that often stop us.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm sure you also felt there were times in your career when there were external voices that weren't particularly encouraging or inspiring.
Very much.
Yeah, and yet, for you to just continue to just do what's right, pursue it. They talk about priming the pump, right? Sometimes you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and without you realizing it, one day you get past that tipping point, and boy, the
Yeah.
abundance just seems to flow in. And when I talk about abundance, I think you and I also know that it's not about number of workshops, books that we sell, how many followers we have,
Yep.
but just that honor of being able to meet people and know that we have touched their lives in some way.
Yeah.
And I know that you do that each and every day, just through every post that you do out there. Of course, through your training and your coaching and all that stuff. Sitting in your personal branding course a few months ago, one of my life's great privileges.
Thank you.
Learned
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for your support.
Oh, for you. Thank you so much. I was so humbled to go and learn a little bit more about improving my personal presence. And I've been talking about your program to so many people.
Thank you.
Honestly, hand in heart.
Thank you so much.
Hand in heart, anyone that is in corporate that needs to continue to be an even better influencer internally, and certainly anyone who's, I always believe that, in the world today that is so rapidly changing, it's come to a time when sometimes experience doesn't seem to be valued as much as it used to in my generation or my dad's generation,
Yeah.
right? In fact, Singapore is probably the land where you have the most 40 plus year old Grab drivers that are like PhDs and
Yeah.
executives and all that kind of stuff. And yet, I think with experience, you learn stuff and it's amazing as long as you fall and you learn from it. But it's even greater when you can pass that on to others, which is what you are doing today.
Thank you.
And so moving into people who are looking at the transition into another career that fulfills them and have the heart to be a teacher, I think that personal branding is like such a must-have, right? Because you can have the best skills and knowledge in the world if no one knows about you. What's the
Yeah.
point?
So true.
So how did personal branding come into your life? I wouldn't have expected that area. If you say leadership, presentation skills, mindfulness, clearly. I still remember you a little bit nervous, but stepping up. I said, can you do a short segment on mindfulness for
Yeah.
our workshop? You remember
Yes,
that?
yeah.
And you said, why not, Dom? I'm a bit nervous, but I'll do it. But personal branding, how did it come into your life?
Okay. I've got these questions like so many times, right? And honestly, when I first started, I've really know nothing about it, honestly, literally. Like I was just out of survival instinct that I just got to put myself out there, right? If I don't do that, then I will not be able to get my leads, my clients and all that.
For wellness.
When I got
Programs?
started
Okay.
on my business.
Got
and
it.
that got me started on this journey.
Okay.
Right. It was not really about building brand, literally, right? It was literally I just want to have clients and leads.
Got it.
Right. But I think that journey has been a very empowering one to the extent that it was literally helped me to rewire my narratives about so many things, right? About really showing up. When people ask me about personal branding, they always thought about content creation. But it was so much more than just content creation. It was really about an inner journey for me to be able to really look within myself about all those, limiting beliefs I have about showing up, right? The fears, the struggles that I have about, sharing something, right? That I know that I have the capacity to share, but a lot of all these fears that has been holding me back, right? And I thought that was literally the real journey for me to build my own personal brand. It was really an inner journey of really looking within. What is the things that has been stopping me, the fears, the struggles that stop me from even realizing my own full potential, my own power. And that was the biggest, lessons I've learned from overcoming that to finding my voice, owning my voice, and to be able to really share that with people. Because it was so overwhelming for me to even share some of these, stories that is so vulnerable that maybe my parents and myself that know about it, and you are telling it to the world, right? It was literally strip myself naked and sharing that part of me that is so personal to people. But I find it a very empowering one too, because as I shared that part of me that I'm so afraid to share, that's where I also learned that that journey has given me so much strength because of that story. It helps me to connect with people. It helps me to build trust with my audience. And that's the vulnerability part that we shared earlier, right? And the second part is the ownership, right?
Yeah.
Owning the story itself, knowing that I went through shit, I went through the tough times of my life, but when I started owning that story and taking that ownership to, move beyond it and rise beyond these challenges, and that's where the power
Wow.
happens, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And I think another one as well, I stands for intention, knowing that, whenever we put something out there, it's really the intention behind it, right? Like, what is your intention? Like, a lot of people started creating content or even writing, right? Because they wanted to impress others.
Right.
But when it comes to starting the intention from the space of, like, service, making a positive impact on other people's life, and I think that intention creates a ripple effects as well. Right. And the fourth one is C, stands for consistency.
Yes.
It's really about how do you show up consistently, right? In terms of your own voice, like online and offline, whether you're also consistent, right? Being authentic in the kind of like stories that you also share.
Right.
Yeah. And last but not least is E, that stands for energy, right? Who we are and what we stand for, and how we actually bring this energy is something that will attract and the people that we want to serve, right? I call it aligned audience.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I can summarize, it's actually VOICE's voice.
That's beautiful.
Vulnerability, ownership, intention, consistency, and energy.
That's amazing.
So I think that was really the biggest learning I got from literally build my personal brand, right? Which was something that is very accidentally out of survival instinct to the extent of literally using that as a movement to be able to help more people in finding their own voice, owning their own voice, and being able to step into their power to, share whatever it takes for them to be able to make a positive difference in their life and the people that they wanted to serve.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
Thank you.
I love VOICE.
Right.
Starting with that intent, you got all the intentions in the world, and yet if you don't have that preparedness to be vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
That is hard. But I just love that. That's such a great framework. I think Ratna's voice framework. I think the journey to finding your voice so that you can allow others the permission, if you like, right, to shine and have their voice as well.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And every one of us have our own personal brand, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That starts with our own voice, right?
Right. You speak about vulnerability, and you and I know, especially with our heritage, Asian heritage, is, certainly we are very often vulnerability is not something you should indulge in. People may take advantage of that if they know your weaknesses, if they know your history, and yet it's so contradictory in many ways. That vulnerability is such a powerful strength, because I think everyone firstly resonates when you're human.
Yeah.
And all of us, who hasn't had mistakes, who doesn't have strengths, right? And yet, I think the beauty about where you've come in, it reminds me at least of, I think for others to accept you, the most important person you need to accept is yourself, right? And that includes embracing your strengths, your, that the capabilities that you have, and also your vulnerabilities, your non-strengths, and just owning it, as you say, owning it, accepting it, allows you to not let that control you in your life. Yeah.
Exactly. And it takes so much courage to
It
be
does.
able to
It does.
really tap into that inner strength, right?
Did you attend a personal branding course to come to that realization, or you just in that journey of, as you say, I need to touch more lives with my work, you stumble into it?
That's how
Really?
it is. Yeah,
Okay.
literally.
Great.
Yeah.
Because I also know that you've been an absolute humble, learning person who's on this continuous growth. I know you've done so many of the wonderful programs that I've also done, Tony Robbins and other amazing mentors, right?
Yeah.
And yet it's interesting that you learn, and it's really the doing that gives you the greatest learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, your life, your lived experiences of achieving the breakthrough yourself. You can have all the ideas, but you are the one who has to break through. What guidance would you give someone? I know the audience listening to you are watching you for the first time. You'll be like, holy smoke, how can I be like that amazing girl, right? Any tips and strategies on how to overcome that fear?
A fear of
Fear of
putting
speaking up, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of taking that first step, fear of approaching people. I see you networking with amazing people who are just drawn to your presence, right? How do they overcome that step?
Well, I think it's really, firstly is we talk about acceptance, right? Yeah, I think that was really the first step that I realized that has been shifted. I mean, like, influenced me so much to the extent that, like, acceptance of who I am with all my limitations and strengths, and knowing that I do have all what it takes for me to be able to create my own ripples.
Right.
And that was so powerful. And I think we talk so much about acceptance, right? But how many of us are really truly accept us for who I am with whatever it is? But I think that really journey of really looking inwards and knowing that all these, challenges and struggles and fears that I went through have a place, right? Have a stories to tell, to be able to also influence and impact others who went through the same struggles as well. And I think that was the first one for sure. And the second one is to literally lean into the discomfort, right? The more fear you experience, that's where the most growth that we can experience at the same time too.
Right.
So I think it's really about, facing it head on,
Yes.
knowing that I know I'm just so afraid of that, right? We are talking about like, I was just sharing about like every time, when there is any opportunities to basically, do presentation, right? Even though like my heart will beat million times per second, but I will like raise my hands and I'm like, what are you doing, Ratna? And there was, like it was just not in sync. But I think that, literally leaning into something that I am so afraid of doing, it just creates so much, like enlarging my area of comfort, right?
Yes.
And because of that, then I started pushing beyond my limits. And that's where I noticed that I grow the most by just saying yes to something that I'm so afraid of doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I can't, I must. And if I must,
Exactly.
I can. Right?
I still remember that mantra until now, Dom.
You made such a huge difference to my life, and you are a model of that. To say it and to practice it, it's a different kettle of fish, right?
Yes, exactly.
Here, wow, sounds logical, sounds great, and then when you put into action. But again, I'm just watching awe. You went into becoming model as well, running amazing events internationally, of course, getting behind the mic more and more, running courses, all that kind of stuff. Tell us, the people that attend your personal branding courses, typically what are they looking for? Typically,
they are looking for ways to be able to help them in build their personal brand,
Okay.
so that they can attract aligned opportunities.
Aligned opportunities. I love that
for
word. Yeah.
career or even business.
Beautiful.
Right. But I think a lot of times I also realized, talking about personal branding and like LinkedIn specifically, when it came to me seeking for such help, right?
Right.
And I realized that, LinkedIn, it seems to be like a social media stuff, right?
Yes.
But I think it's so much more than that, It's a lot on the mindset. When people came to me, needed some help on that area,
Right.
I realized that they are so afraid of like putting themselves out there. They are so afraid of, like being judged.
Yes.
They are so afraid of being, like, I don't know what to write, right? Whatever it is, or I don't know how to engage with people. And all these questions are stem from all the fears and struggles that we all human experience, right? And we are talking about the iceberg concept, right? The tip of the iceberg are all those, what type of content should I post, right? How do I engage? How do I get more followers or whatever it is? But the below of the iceberg are the things that we don't see, right? Like the fear of putting yourself out there, the fear of how much should I share, right? How vulnerable should I share? The fear of being judged and all that, right? And I think that is the big piece of the areas that we also have to support our clients, right? Because without that foundation, then forget about, all the LinkedIn strategies and all that. And I think once we are able to really tackle the below of the iceberg thing, all the fears and all that, the 20% of strategy, it becomes a lot more easier because, people feel aligned to who they are, their values, their belief, and how can you portray your personal brand that is also aligned to the version of you that you wanted to project, right? And I think coming from that space, when you write from that space of that next level version of you that you wanted to show, that's where the magic happens. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What you're saying aligns so much. You already know this with everything that we teach. I think you attend a personal branding course and you say, okay, tell me how to do this, right?
Yeah.
All the above the iceberg stuff, right?
Yes.
How to engage, how to build a following, and how to phrase, how to write a message, how to choose what message to write. And yet, the real secret is working on that under the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
The mindsets, your values, helping people learn about themselves to discover, right? Make them tick.
Yep.
How to overcome the barriers that are stopping them from the execution, because the strategies are, there's certainly, you've shared a lot of best practice tips which are gold, right? Because you've learned it also through your school of hard knocks, right? And that's why not stand on the shoulders of giants, someone who's been there and done that, and also benefiting from the lessons you'll get, I'm sure, from a lot of your delegates and coaches, right? And yet I think that part of helping them journey to become an even more complete, better human being, to embrace that spiritual side of them, right? The ego side is about survival and getting stuff done, but the real essence is finding that joy and purpose from within, which is
So much.
Such an important part of your work. And when I attended your course, I was moved
Thank
to
you.
know that that is a huge emphasis in your program, which I think is what makes it really special.
Yeah.
I can't champion your cause even
Thank
more.
you.
Anyone
Thank you
thinking
so
of personal
much.
branding out there, all right, give this queen a check out.
And I think I wanted to also just share about the why part, right? Because a lot of people, I've seen so many people, like they just quit too soon, right? Before they see the results, like whatever viral post or whatever engagement, number of followers or whatever it is. Before they see that, they give up too soon, right? And I think the why part, the purpose, why you do what you do behind even building your personal brand is super important, because personal branding is not about, I'm creating content for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, 2 year, or whatever it is. It's really a lifelong journey, right?
Yes.
It's building your own reputation, building your own life work,
Yes.
and being of service to other people. And I
Yes.
think if you don't get that foundation right, strong, you can't last long, right? And that's the reason
Yeah.
why it's actually really very important to really go deeper into the root of the foundation of the why, right?
Right,
When the
right.
why is strong enough, the how, it becomes a lot more easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And people are paying even more attention to your work, your ideas today than ever before, right? You have that credibility, you have that presence, you have the charisma, clearly. And yet, when people go through, the typical journey of growing up, you go to school, you get a good uni, you get a degree, you complete all of that, and then you go into a corporate world or you start up your own business. And I sort of sense that personal branding is almost like a life skill, because you can have best ideas in the world. If you can't sell it, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Now you have a global audience just through every post, potentially a global audience, right? Through the virtual platform called social media, but certainly even within an organization. And I find that maybe I love your views on this, because you also used to work at SMU, universities, and all that kind of stuff, right? Do you feel that there's an emphasis today in universities and colleges and even in schools in Singapore that about the need for people to be conscious of personal branding and to build that? Do you feel that?
Yes, for
There is
sure.
very much. Is it like an essential elective?
Well, not an elective, but I mean, I've seen that many universities has provided, career workshops for the
Right.
students to be able to also learn how they can build their own personal brand, so that it's a lot easier for them to,
Wonderful.
look out for a job, right? And I always find it, personal branding is, the traditional way of looking out for a job, like sending out resume and competing with thousands of people all over the world
Right.
is really outdated, literally.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
so how are you going to differentiate yourself from so many thousands applications, right?
Yes.
And I think that's where the personal brands comes about, to help you differentiate yourself from the rest. Because at the end of the day, the hiring managers, the recruiters is going to, look out for you online. And that's where, if you are a lot more intentional in building your, personal brand out there, that's where the recruiters will be able to see that, oh, wow, you have values to offer, right? And there will be a lot higher chance for them to actually call you out for an interview as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, LinkedIn is the new resume, right?
Great. Excellent. I'm just curious, Ratna, do you see that people who are maybe happily being great employees in organizations are signing up for your courses to learn about how they can apply those in their corporate career as an employee?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been seeing a lot more people actually came to me and
Wonderful.
asking for how can I leverage this as a platform to also getting more career visibility for my work, right?
Yes.
And one of my coachee, basically, he used to be a Navy officer,
Right.
and he pivoted into the commercial space as a recruitment consultant. And
Okay.
because of the work that he needs to use LinkedIn a lot more effectively to find leads, to find candidates as well, so he came to me to basically seek for support lah.
Right.
And so we went through together in terms of like some of the content strategies and how he can basically position himself differently. And within 3 months, he actually exceeded his sales target.
Wow.
And within a year, he got promoted into
Wow.
becoming a senior consultant.
That is
And
great.
because of the content that he created as well, he's able to actually grow his influence and being able to literally attract the kind of people that he wants to attract for his career growth and progression.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I know for me, old school guy, went to computer science. If you spoke about me about branding back in the days, like, oh, there's some marketing stuff, right? And even if I went beyond that and understood, okay, why is a brand important, right? Then it's about, selling, and selling is so not me. We all have this. And I'm just always in awe at you, because no one would have thought that you would take a role in sales just like you did when you were supporting us, right? The last
I know, right?
natural personality type to take on selling, right? And yet here you are, you remind us of the definition of Brian Tracy on selling. It says, a sale occurs when there's a transfer of enthusiasm of an idea, right? Of course, it can be a product as well, or service from one human being to another. So it's that transfer of, you say, that energy.
Yes.
And you can only be energized and enthusiastic about something if you genuinely believe in it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so learning about what do you genuinely believe in and all that kind of stuff, and just having that confidence and eloquence to put yourself out there. I think, to be honest with you, I think when I observe and work with leaders across, we had the blessing of working with more than 260 different organizations now internationally, right? And you see the people who are the stars, and they are stars not just as achievers, right? But they are stars because they are also, people are drawn to them. They really see them as leaders. They're all very good, very strong networkers. They genuinely believe in the power of relationship.
Yes.
You don't get where you are just by what you know, but who you know. And people who know you and feel that genuine authenticity of you being there to network. Sure, we all want to receive something, but most commonly, they are there to give as much as they receive, probably more than they receive, right?
Yeah.
And so, maybe back in the day before social media, it was networking was the way, and today is about social networking as well, right? The medium is there.
Yeah.
And so that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And I would always also share that, the golden rules of networking is to care.
Right.
I'm sure that you shared that a lot as well. And what do I mean by care is really also about, I use the acronym CARE, CARE. The first one is to connect and with people beyond the surface levels, right? To be able to really get to know them better at the personal levels, and how we can support them in a way that benefit them as well, right? Giving that firsthand, right?
Yes.
And the second one is appreciation. How can we appreciate the people who have supported us along our journey, right?
Wow.
And the third one is to relate with them in terms of how can we basically relate with their pains, their struggles, and how can we, support them in a way to be able to elevate their suffering in some ways, right? And last but not least, to also engage, keeping in contact, also engaging them at different levels, like maybe connecting them with some other context that right? If they needed some help in certain areas as well. And I think that golden rules has been serving me really well, and I hope that people will be more intentional in building their own network through these golden rules of care, because at the end of the day, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right?
Beautiful. One of my favorite quotes of all time.
Same here,
Definitely.
me too. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ratna. I think those two gem pieces, care and voice, I think the quality of your life one day when it's all said and done is not how much you've received, but how much you've given.
Yeah.
And in summary, it's about how much you've cared, right?
Yeah.
And to do that, if truly caring is also sharing your voice with others.
Yes.
So I think care and voice is such a beautiful summary of the secrets of success and fulfillment in life. And I just thank you for your energy and compassion to share with our wonderful audience today.
Thank you
the
so much
secrets.
as well.
And just by the presence, them observing the way you hold yourself. And wow, that itself is the biggest journey of inspiration. So thank you for your gift of presence, Ratna.
Thank you so much, Dom. I think I have so much to be grateful to you. You have been my role model, and it's been such a pleasure to be learning from you and to be sharing this space together. Thank you so much for being such a amazing inspirations for my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratna.
Yeah.
So I know that our audience will want to get to know you even better, and for those that don't already know of you, and be assured that information about reaching out to Ratna will be in the show notes. Yeah. Any final pieces of advice or words of wisdom you'd like to leave for our audience today?
At the end of the day, is really about betting on ourselves, knowing that, well, we all have challenges and fears and struggles, but when we take one step at a time to be able to take that aligned actions whenever we feel so scared of, right? Putting growth so much more important than fear itself, and being able to have the courage to take up space, to step into our power, because we all have the inner resources within all of us to be able to transform our struggles into strengths and to be able to make a positive impact in our life and in other people's life along the journey. So bet on yourself.
Wonderful way to end our podcast. Thank you so much, Ratna.
Thank you so much, Dom.
You rock.
You rock.